Hey guys, time for an update on this Philco 491040 cabinet, I think. Okay, so I finished off the main body of the cabinet. I finally finished touching up the control area. I slowly filled in all the nicks and dings with both clear and tone lacquer depending on the damage. Clear coated, sanded, more clear coats, with a final coating of semi-gloss deft lacquer. Gloss was just too shiny and annoying. I think the semi-gloss worked out real nice. The decals are still fairly visible, and yeah, nice and smooth. Looks pretty good, I think. So moving on, I treated this screen surround area with just a few coats of red mahogany stain. Once that dries up, in a few more days, I'll clear coat that with some deft semi-gloss, I think, again. And that leaves the frame. I finally finished filling in all the nicks and dings on that, sanded it nice and smooth, sprayed it with the same red mahogany toner lacquer I used on the cabinet, and then some clear coat of gloss lacquer, which now leaves me with the inner bead along here. I'm going to mask off the main body of the frame and hopefully spray it with this. I took a scrap wood and sprayed it, and I think it looks really nice. So I think though, in addition to masking this, I better use some 220 grit to rough up this lacquer overspray from doing the main body. This is an enamel based paint, I believe, and I don't know that it would stick really well to gloss lacquer. Okay, I finished masking off the frame with some blue painter's tape and paper. If you're going to do something like this, make sure you wait at least a few days for the underlying lacquer to cure, because the adhesive on the tape could react with any solvents that still remain in that fresh lacquer. It's also a good idea to leave the tape on for as little time as possible, so just as soon as I'm done spraying this, I'm going to pull the tape off, because even on older finishes or finishes that are fully cured, that the longer you leave that tape adhesive on, the harder it is to get off, or it may leave marks on the finish. So now I'm going to shake this can up really good, give it first a light coat just to kind of act as a primer, and then put on, well, as many coats as it takes till it looks good, hopefully not too many. I gave it a few light coats and I think it's looking really good. It's dry enough now that I can pull the tape off, and I've got my fingers crossed that the painter's tape did its job and none of it bled through. Alright, it turned out quite nicely. In the corners there's just a little bit that bled under, but geez, that's nothing I'm going to worry about. The recommendations on the can are to not clear coat it. I'm guessing if you do, that would maybe cut down on the shine a bit. So I think I'll just leave it like it is. Here and there is a little bit of residue left from the masking tape. I'll let this cure a bit more, then I'll use some mineral spirits to clean that off. I cleaned off and remounted the safety glass to give you guys a preview of what the final cabinet will look like. Quite nice, I think. It's a lot classier now with this gold trim. So what's left? Well, I want to touch up the white surround there around the screen. I picked up this ivory bisque, which is really just off-white, and I think it's a pretty good match, so I'll be masking off and spraying that. There's also a channel selector plate down here that needs some attention. It's in pretty crummy shape. The paint's chipped off, the numbers are worn off, so I think I may just try making a replica from scratch. It's basically just a thin piece of metal cut out into a circle, painted black, and then silk screened on with a line pattern and some numbers. So I've already scanned this in my flatbed scanner. I'll open it in a graphics program, touch up the damaged areas, and then print out a decal, I think. Anyways, that's my plan for now. So that leaves rubbing out the finish. What that does is remove any imperfections that may remain in the lacquer. Especially because of the way I spray it with a can, and I do one side at a time. What happens is I get overspray. So, for example, the last surface I did was the top, which is in pretty good shape. But while I'm spraying the top back and forth, some of the spray goes over onto the sides. So the sides got kind of rough. They look okay at a distance, but when you get up close or touch it, you can feel it's rough. You may also get something called orange peel. That's just part of the natural curing process of the lacquer where it gets a little bumpy. I think I've mentioned this in other videos. The products I use to do this are pumice stone, rotten stone, and some mineral oil. I really like to use these felt blocks. Basically soak it up with some oil, sprinkle on some of the pumice stone and the rotten stone. You see it comes like in these giant salt shakers, and you rub it back and forth. It's basically a super fine grit sandpaper, and you keep that up until you just feel it with your hands occasionally. When it gets really smooth, you move on to the next finer grade. Well, I only have one of these felt blocks. They were a little bit expensive. I ordered them from a specialty shop online. So what I've done for other grits is just wrap a cotton cloth around a piece of wood, which works okay, but it's not that convenient. You have to replace the cloth periodically and so on. Whereas it's really nice to keep one of these and just keep one of these with each grade so you don't mix the grits up. Well, I was at the Home Improvement Center and I was looking around to see if they had anything equivalent to a felt block, and I found these heavy-duty furniture pads which have the peel-off adhesive on the back. You put these under a large sofa or bed or something like that. So adhesive, and there's a rubber pad, and then there's some felt. It's not quite as thick as that felt, but I think it'd be thick enough. So I'm going to try using these. Fits very comfortably in my hand. I'll put on the oil and the grit and give it a shot. I think it'll work out fine. And they're dirt cheap. I got 4 for, I don't know, $1.50, something like that. Knobs that it came with. I haven't done anything with them. These outer ones are metal. I'll be repainting these, and the inner ones just need a good cleaning. They have a brass insert that should polish up nice and then clean out the goop out of the grooves in the Bakelite knob. Here is the chassis. This has the traditional Philco corner rubber mounts that they used on all the radios, and these are completely rotted away. So I ordered up some reproduction ones. These are made for radios, and this chassis is pretty heavy, so I'm a little concerned they might bottom out, but I'll give it a try. Well, the mystery's solved about these corner rubber mounts. I pulled off a couple of the old ones and found metal reinforcing bits inside. So that's how they're able to support the weight without getting crushed. And I think that they will fit inside these new ones. Not much trouble. And then they go on. Well, you get the idea. Kind of hard to do it one-handed, but also if you put it on backwards, doesn't help. There we go. Go on like so. So not only do they provide some separation from the chassis so the speaker vibration doesn't carry through, but it also raises the chassis maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so, which will align these shafts better in the holes in the cabinet. Took some Simichrome and discovered that the center disc on these knobs polishes up real nice. Got 2 down, 3 more to go, and I'm going to clean out all the grooves from all the dirt and grime. I'm going to try something a little bit different to paint this off-whites around here. Normally I would have masked off all the red mahogany, leaving the white exposed, and then paint it. But that'll be really tedious to cut around the curve of this screen. So what I want to do is tape it from this side, cover up the hole with some paper, and then try to spray the paint from the inside. My only concern is that if the paint bleeds between the tape and the front of this. But I'll give it a try. I figure it's a heck of a lot easier to save me a lot of time if it does work. I think I'll take these off, or I'll mask over these too, because I don't want to get paint all over the inside of this. I just sprayed on one light coat, and so far so good. I'll let that dry a bit, put on a second coat, and then peel off the tape, and hope things worked out as well as that gold paint did. I let the paint dry for a while and pulled off all the masking tape and paper, and seemed to work out pretty darn good. There's no bleed through at all. Sorry, that's the blinding light there. This is late afternoon. So all that's left to do on this is to rub out this finish.